The cabin of Flight 237 buzzed with the usual hum of conversation, the rustle of snack wrappers, and the low drone of the engines. Families chatted about vacations, businessmen tapped away on laptops, and flight attendants rolled carts down the aisle. Nothing seemed unusual that morning, yet in seat 13F by the window sat a girl no one paid much attention to. She looked no older than 15, dressed in a plain hoodie and jeans, earbuds tucked in. To most, she was just another passenger lost in her own world. But behind her calm exterior lay a past few could ever imagine. 2 hours into the flight, everything changed. Without warning, the captain slumped over his controls, and the co-pilot followed seconds later, gasping for air before collapsing unconscious. The cockpit alarm blared, the autopilot struggled, and panic rippled through the cabin as the plane dipped sharply. Passengers screamed, oxygen masks fell, and flight attendants rushed toward the cockpit, pounding on the locked door, their voices breaking with fear. "Is there anyone here who can fly a plane?" One attendant shouted desperately. Most people froze, others prayed. A man in a suit tried to calm his family. A mother held her child close, sobbing. It was chaos. And then, quietly, seat 13F moved. The girl pulled out her earbuds, her eyes sharper than anyone had ever seen. She stood, steady against the trembling of the aircraft, and walked to the front. Nobody expected her to speak, but when she did, her voice carried a calm authority far beyond her years. "Open the intercom," she told the flight attendant firmly. "I need to talk to air traffic control." The attendant hesitated, but fear in her eyes gave way to hope. She handed the girl the radio link, her hands trembling. The cabin held its breath. Passengers stared, confused. Why was a teenager stepping up when grown men sat paralyzed with fear? "Flight 237, we've lost contact with your pilots." "Can anyone there hear me?" crackled the voice of air traffic control. The girl pressed the button. Her words were steady, almost chillingly professional. "This is callsign Valkyrie. I'm taking control." Silence followed. The ATC officer froze. That name, Valkyrie, wasn't just a name. It was a call sign whispered with respect among pilots, linked to secret training programs, missions classified beyond clearance. What was a girl doing with it? The officer finally responded, his voice uneasy. "Valkyrie. Is this some kind of code?" But the girl had no time to explain. She pushed past the stunned crew, reached the cockpit, and took the captain's seat. Her small hands gripped the yoke with surprising steadiness. In the cabin behind her, fear turned into confusion. In the control tower miles away, stunned operators exchanged glances. Somewhere in the skies, F-22 fighters were already scrambling to intercept Flight 237. And in seat 13F, the secret was out. The girl wasn't just a passenger. She was Valkyrie. The cockpit smelled of burnt circuits and fear. The control panel blinked with warnings, and the jet wavered in the sky, losing altitude. The girl, Valkyrie, slid into the captain's seat, her hands moving across the switches with confidence that stunned everyone. She strapped herself in, pushed the autopilot override, and steadied the aircraft. Behind her, a flight attendant whispered, "She knows what she's doing." Air traffic control's voice came back over the radio, sharper now. "Valkyrie, confirm identity. We have fighter jets en route." "Tell your F-22s to hold formation," she replied coolly. "If they interfere, we'll lose this bird. I repeat, hold formation." For a moment, the line went silent. Then, a different voice cut in, firm, professional, military. "Valkyrie, this is Falcon, leader of Eagle Squadron. We're on your wing. Is it really you?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Copy, Falcon. It's me." In the silence that followed, even the battle-hardened fighter pilots hesitated. Valkyrie was more than a name. She was a legend. Trained in a covert military program years ago, she had outflown veterans in simulators, but after a classified mission went wrong, she vanished. No one knew where she went, until now, in seat 13F of a passenger jet. "Roger that, Valkyrie," the fighter pilot finally replied, his voice carrying both respect and relief. "We'll clear the skies for you. Just bring them home." The passengers, unaware of her history, only saw a young girl gripping the controls with the focus of someone twice her age. She spoke calmly into the radio as ATC guided her. Altitude holding at 28,000. Engine 2 is failing. I'll need vectors for emergency approach. Valkyrie, runway 27L is clear, the controller replied quickly. You're cleared to land. Sweat glistened on her brow as she eased the yoke, aligning the massive jet with the runway miles ahead. The plane bucked in turbulence, alarms blaring, but her voice never wavered. Passengers, brace for landing. In the cabin, terrified families clutched hands, but some felt a strange calm. That girl's voice, it carried something powerful, something steady, as if she'd done this 1,000 times before. The runway came into sight, glowing under the afternoon sun. Fighter jets flanked the airliner, their wings glinting like guardian angels. Easy, steady, Valkyrie whispered to herself. She lowered the landing gear, adjusted the flaps, and began the descent. The wheels screeched against asphalt. The plane shook violently, but then, suddenly, it leveled, rolling down the runway in a controlled stop. Silence filled the cabin, and then applause, cheers, tears of relief. People hugged strangers, sobbed into each other's shoulders, whispering the same word over and over. Valkyrie! When the doors finally opened, emergency crews swarmed the aircraft, but the girl in seat 13F slipped quietly away. No grand speech, no dramatic exit. Just a faint smile as she disappeared into the crowd, leaving only whispers behind. The passengers would never forget that day. They had boarded Flight 237 with strangers, but landed with a legend. From seat 13F to Valkyrie, the call sign that even F-22 pilots paused to respect, the world had witnessed a secret no one was supposed to know. And somewhere out there, in skies yet to be flown, Valkyrie's story had only just begun.